Sup fams, welcome to my tribute and long overdue 40th anniversary review of Jaws, my favorite film of all time, and spoilers. So that's coming up right now, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. All right, quiet on set. Scene one, take one. Action. Jaws is directed by Steven Spielberg. It's actually, I believe, his first ever big budgeted Hollywood movie that he's done. Because I know he did Duel, and that was more of a low budget TV movie. So yeah, I've yet to see that movie. So yeah, I can't wait. And it stars Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss, along with Murray Hamilton and Lorraine Gary. So the story is about a killer shark, a great white shark. Apparently it's the last of this prehistoric species of killer sharks or mindless sharks. Starts killing people in Amity Island. First he attacks this victim in Chrissy Walker, then he attacks this little boy named Alex Kittner. And so Chief Brody tries to stop the shark and try to hire an expert to kill the shark and also by closing down the beaches. But Mayor Vaughn will not allow it because during the summer they make a lot of money. So it's all about money rather than morals and the people. And on the third act, Chief Brody and Robert Shaw's character Quint, I love Quint, and Richard Dreyfuss' character, Matt Hooper, go out and try to hunt down the shark. So yeah, this is mostly gonna be a big praise of this film. And I'm not gonna really say much on this film. I mean, even though yes, I'm tributing this film, what is there to be said about Jaws? It's an instant classic. So I'll just give you guys, well, my experience and how I feel about the film. Why it's my favorite film of all time. So when I was 5 years old, my dad and I used to watch movies on Telemundo. And late at night, around Sundays or Saturdays, they would play big budget Hollywood films. And one of them happens to be Jaws. And that is actually the first film I've ever seen. I remember it clearly when Quint gets chomped down by Bruce the shark, and then Chief Brody just freaking stabbing Bruce in the head, and then he just shoots the tank and blows up Bruce. It's freaking awesome. I always gonna remember that. Well, as I got older, I think I was around 7 or 8 years old. I think I was in first grade when I finally owned the film on VHS, and man, to this very day, it's still my favorite film of all time. It's usually between either the original Godzilla from 1954 and Jaws, but Jaws always wins. At one time, I actually thought that Godzilla was my favorite film of all time, but then I rewatched Jaws and I'm like, nah, this will always be my favorite film of all time. So, do I have any criticisms on Jaws? Well, just a little bit, just one little tiny bit. And sometimes I love Robert Shaw. He's a A-list actor. I love him so much. But sometimes, especially in the third act, when they're finally out there hunting for Bruce, well, he kind of mumbles his lines a bit, and sometimes I can't understand. I sometimes still understand what he's saying, sometimes, even though I watched the film with the new Dolby Atmos mix, and in 4K, mind you. But that's just a little nitpick. I don't really count it a flaw, or really a real criticism. It's not a big issue because I look past that. And people are gonna say, well, I mean, what about the shark? It still looks fake. To me, though, it doesn't look that fake because its jawline, I mean, even though the jawline looks a little unrealistic, just the way the shark moves, holy crap, doesn't move really scary. He looks, actually, he kind of moves realistic in my opinion, but yeah. So let's just get on to why I love this film. Let's get on to the actual review. Well, I love that you don't see the shark till halfway. And I know it's because you've already heard that Bruce the shark was just having malfunctions with the crew, especially Steven Spielberg, and he says this very day he still has nightmares on that. But honestly, I'm glad that it malfunctioned because, man, even Spielberg said I'm glad it did because it would not be as effective. I love that even John Williams, one of the best score in my opinion of any film of all time, he uses, when you don't see Bruce the shark, well, you don't see him, but you know he's there when he plays the music. And when he's not around, I love that when he's not around, when there's a scene where a bunch of kids pull a prank, a fucked up prank, mind you, which they should have been arrested for that. Or you see shots of people swimming, but you don't hear the music. It's not Bruce. So once Bruce comes out, when he finally shows up and he reveals himself, when you finally see Bruce the shark, the music plays and it's amazing. I also love the characters. Chief Brody, Martin Brody, actually, man, I feel bad for that guy. He's a cop, but he's actually a cop that cares about the people, and he's basically your everyday guy. And he has an arc where he's afraid of the water, but when he's battling a shark, when he's trying to protect the people of Amity, he has no choice but to face his fear, overcome his fear of the water, and just kill the shark. And Quint has his history with sharks. He has this obsession of killing sharks, or just an obsession of sharks, because he was in the USS Indianapolis, which it did actually happen. And he gave that famous speech in the story, and wow, such an amazing. That's actually my favorite scene in the film, when Quint just gives out his USS Indianapolis speech. It's just phenomenal, because you can tell he was a young man, and all of his closest friends that he considered brothers were killed by sharks. And from then on, he just doesn't see sharks as animals; he sees them as just mindless killers. And Matt Hooper, Richard Dreyfuss, oh, I love how smart ass he is. I mean, I love how him and Quint banter in the boat when they're trying to hunt down the shark, when Quint believes that, oh, the shark is grabbing the line, and Hooper was like, nah, it ain't a shark, it's more of maybe a dogfish, or a freaking swordfish, or marlin, or a stingray. Well, I mean, I actually believe Quint is right, but man, I also love that Hooper right away confirmed. He even went up at the mayor. He went up to his face and basically said, you should not keep the beaches open, because there is a killer great white shark, Carcharodon. I even got the tooth. Well, he had the tooth, but then there was that famous jump scare of Ben Gardner's head, and he dropped the tooth. But yeah, I also just and Hooper, man, I also love that scene where he wanted to just, because they thought they killed a shark by killing a tiger shark, but he was like, well, I need to make sure, and then he cuts open the tiger shark and he finds no boy remains, because they're trying to find Alex Kittner's remains, and he didn't find anything. And he says there's a shark with a mouth about this big. And again, I also love Lauren Gary's character. She doesn't really do much in the movie, but when she's around, she's just great. She's just such a supporting wife, realistic wife actually. And Mayor Vaughn, I love Murray Hamilton in this movie. Even though yes, you hate the mayor, you understand, because in the novel, yeah, I read the novel, around the summer they make the most money because the mafia makes a lot of money. It's usually a mafia tie-in, and around the winter and fall they don't really make a lot of money. It's because Amity Island is a tourist location. Although it's not in the movie, you could kind of see why that he wants to keep the beaches open, but he's a stubborn little asshole that just wants to make money and just keep the beaches open. And so it's up to Chief Brody and Matt Hooper to try to keep the beaches closed. Well, there's that famous line, the beaches will stay open and we need summer dollars. I remember like when Chief Brody was like, Larry, we have the beaches, we had to keep the beaches closed by August. August? For Christ's sakes, tomorrow's the 4th of July and we will keep the beaches open. Wow, and what a big mistake that was. And I just love the third act when they're just hunting the shark, and also just John Williams' score becomes terrorizing, but then it becomes adventurous, and it's just amazing. It's nice, it's a nice little pirate music. I freaking love it. And of course that intense scene where Quint, because I always get scared of that scene when Quint gets chomped down by Bruce. Ooh, man. And of course I love that intense climactic scene where just Brody's just firing that M1 Garand right into the tank of Bruce, and man, he keeps missing and missing and missing, and then he had one, you could tell he had one more bullet left, and he just aimed close and he just said, smile you son of a bitch, and just hits a direct target right at the tank, and boom, Bruce blows up. Freaking love it. But yeah, it just has amazing characters, an amazing score, and it's effective that you don't see Bruce till halfway into the film, and you have such amazing, tremendous acting. It's a classic. What more can I say about Jaws? It's not just a horror film, it's also an adventure, and it's also a movie about a man trying to overcome his fear and trying to protect the world. And it is also, Spielberg is he really hates greed, so it's also a criticism on greed and a metaphor on just how greed can overcome morality, and well, look at that, it caused a lot of lives. So of course, if I were to give this film a rating, I have to give it a perfect 5 out of 5. It's a masterpiece, an instant classic. I love this film so much. It is my favorite film of all time. So yeah, that is my review for Jaws. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys like this video, make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you share with your friends. And make sure you guys hit that bell for notifications. So this is Javi from JAVIWOOD Productions signing up, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show.